I want you all to imagine yourself sprinting. Your blood is pumping, your head is starting to throb, your knees are just begging you to stop, and your lungs feel like they can't get enough air in. It's not an awesome feeling, but you're moving faster, right? Well, now I want you to imagine yourself walking. It's calmer. You're still exercising, but you can actually breathe. With walking, you can take time to truly look at your surroundings, talk with a friend, or just reflect in general. But you're not moving forward as fast. Changing the pace changes how far we go. But what about with life? Are you sprinting in your life right now? Taking on as much as you can and giving your all to everything you're a part of? Are you feeling tired? This concept of sprinting and running is a way I've looked at my life. In moments of constant go, I'm sprinting, exerting tons of energy and feeling the grit and hard work I'm pouring into life. But I want to highlight the importance of slowing down. Taking the time to walk during critical times of change provides a deeper understanding of oneself and confidence in future decision-making. Now, up until about 3 years ago, I was in a constant sprint through life. In high school, I felt that I needed to push forward or be the best, so I took hard classes, was junior and senior class president, and played high school soccer. It was an immense pressure, and I distinctly remember that by the time COVID hit, I was done. My mind and body were genuinely exhausted. And from that, I knew that after graduating, I would take the time to relax without the stress of academics with a gap year. And at first, this break felt like a vacation. I was able to sleep in, catch up on all my favorite TV shows, and just not feel the pressure of a deadline. But as time went by, that silence grew uncomfortable. I started waking up feeling anxious that I had nothing to do. My chest would feel physically tight and my mind could never shut off. My brain started developing this idea that I wasn't going anywhere in life, that choosing to take this gap year was a horrible mistake and I would fall behind my peers. And this feeling stuck with me for a long time. And honestly, I was shocked. I was shocked that I was reacting so poorly for having chosen to slow my life down. I remember being mad at myself for deciding to take a gap year. I didn't think I was even walking. I thought I was standing still. And in my own self-perceived marathon of life, I truly believed that because I wasn't doing anything, I wasn't moving forward. Now, slowly, I started to realize that I was defining much of who I was based on the things that I do. I had no deeper sense of self or identity that was defined by just my person and not the clubs I was a part of. And this feeling of being at a standstill was extremely uncomfortable. Well, here's where my standstill turned into more of a walk. As I realized this, I began to shift my thoughts towards figuring out my values and searching for what made me, me. Through intentional reflection, I was able to understand my core self in a way I had never done before. I looked at the attributes of what I was a part of in my life, but specifically searched for those feelings that I was getting out of them that I knew I wanted to continue to feel in future endeavors. In doing so, I learned that some of my most intrinsic values were honesty, community, challenge, and growth, just to name a few. And from that, I continued to move with intention. After realizing the deeper motives behind my prior commitments, I got reinvigorated and excited to continue to search for new experiences that would challenge these values. But let me tell you that this wasn't easy for me. I was still constantly battling these huge senses of regret about not starting college sooner or even finding a job. But through reminding myself about the reasons why I decided to take a gap year in the first place, it grounded me as I continued to search more deeply about who I am. Feeling at a standstill can happen to anyone at any point in their lives. Whether you just quit your job or recently stopped doing a certain task, It's completely normal to get the sense that you aren't moving forward. But what matters is the attitude we have in these moments. To be purposefully thinking about how our prior experiences made us feel in order to gain that deeper understanding of ourselves as we do begin that walk again is critical. As I realized what I wanted to gain out of the future, I was able to more confidently plan my gap year to experience specific things. For example, I knew that I wanted to challenge myself and truly go beyond my comfort zone. And in doing so, I spent about 3 months in Ireland living with complete strangers in a vastly different culture. Through intentionality, I felt more ready to start speeding my life up again, and having that confidence in who I was helped ground me in these situations of discomfort. Now, fast forward to the beginning of college, I knew I was gearing up to get back in the sprint. And while still feeling pretty nervous about picking up the pace again, I felt reassured that I would make choices differently, knowing that this method of thinking would help center my decisions. When choosing to get more involved here at CU, I focused my activities around some of the highlights of my gap year experience. When I was in Ireland, I learned how deeply the water affects and truly focuses my mind. And coming to Boulder, I truly had no hope considering we live in a landlocked state. But having found that CU offers a crew team, it ended up aligning with multiple of my values and was something that would continue to challenge me mentally. It's decisions like these that I know my younger self would have never have imagined me make. But because of my deeper understanding of some of my most intrinsic motivations in life, I've been able to create new opportunities and experiences for myself that I otherwise would have ignored or felt weren't me. I encourage you to reflect on how your prior experiences made you feel as you search for future endeavors as well. Being about 2 years into college now, I notice that I feel burnout less frequently, and when it comes, I have better methods of handling it. Instead of viewing burnout as these times of crisis in my life where I need these stresses to end or I can't maintain the sprint, I instead look at it as an opportunity to identify where specifically in my life I might need to slow it down a few paces. It's this method of thinking that has helped me feel secure in making life-changing decisions. And in the physical sense of sprinting and walking, a study done by a sports chiropractor, Dr. Matt Tannenberg, actually shows that athletes who commit to only one form of exercise tend to hit a plateau. And it's just the same thing with life. It's about finding balance between speed and allowing yourself the opportunity to grow during these changes of pace. My gap year was a mixture of movements and speed. Experiencing the constant, sometimes unpredictable fluctuations of pace in my life were honestly challenging to deal with. But having the knowledge and framework of this marathon I knew I was a part of, I felt excited when my life started speeding up or slowing down again. So I ask you, where are you at in your marathon of life? Are you sprinting right now? Do you need to slow down? This way of thinking doesn't have to only resonate for people taking or considering a gap year, but is something that I, and hopefully others, will continue to use for the rest of our lives. Whether you just got out of a relationship, or recently got fired, or even just completely decided to switch paths, life is an unpredictable marathon. Our pace may change whether or not we plan for it to, but through intentional and purposeful reflection, these times can help guide us as we begin to make new future decisions. So I encourage you to reflect on your personal marathon. Identify the speed that you're at this very moment, and consider how a deeper understanding of your pace can benefit you in the future. Thank you.